I'm joined by Geoffrey, who is a site engineer for John Holland. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So firstly, for all the students and career advisors and parents out there who may not know who John Holland is, can you give us a bit of a snapshot on what it is that you guys do?
So John Holland is one of Australia's leading engineering and construction contractors. So we construct and deliver some of Australia's largest infrastructure projects. So this includes projects such as the Metro Tunnel and the level crossing removal projects in Melbourne. And you've got Sydney Metro and WestConnex in Sydney. So, some of the projects range from bridges to buildings, tunnels, roads. It's a pretty diverse company where we get opportunities to work wherever.
Yeah, amazing. And some pretty big projects there that I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And then what about yourself? What's a site engineer? And what's a typical day look like for you working for John Holland as a site engineer?
Well, the beauty about it all is every day is different. I have a site-based role, so I'm on site most of the time. But however, in a nutshell, I coordinate and direct a scope of works happening on site. So on my project, I take care of the civil earthworks, the shotcrete, saw nails, and the drainage. A lot of my job revolves around planning, and it's the key to a successful project. And that's planning when and how things are being constructed, but also ensuring that it's executed safely and in accordance with the design and, of course, within budget.
Yeah.
A lot of my job is on site, so I'm in constant communication with supervisors and my subcontractors, and we're just solving any issues that arise and planning ahead to make sure we mitigate any issues that can happen in the future.
Wow, pretty important and massive job. Like, you've got a lot to think about.
Yeah, it does get busy.
So, what has your career journey been so far? When you're in high school, is this what you thought you'd be doing? Or, what sort of happened when you're at high school and then afterwards, and your career journey so far at John Holland?
So when I was in high school, I was always interested in maths, and I think everyone just suggested that I, try engineering, and started engineering and had an interest in civil and structural, and just went from there. Towards the end of my degree, I knew that I didn't want to be stuck in an office all the time, and I enjoyed speaking to people. So that's where the construction industry interested me.
Yeah.
So I started actually at John Holland in 2017 as an undergraduate engineer, so I was still at uni, just to get some experience to see what the construction industry was all about, which I encourage people to do. It's a great way just to get a taster of what's out there. So I actually started working on the Northwestern Program Alliance and saw the development of Frankston Station. Yeah. And then from there, I transitioned into the John Holland graduate program. And so I continued working on Frankston Station. I got to see that pretty much to its completion. Oh. And then I decided to take a step out of my comfort zone, and I went regionally and moved to Echuca. So I worked on the Goulburn Water project there, which is basically upgrading channels and pipelines to ensure that there's less water wastage. Cool. I was there for about 8 months, and then rotated back into Melbourne and worked in the office. So I did some estimating and some planning in the building division. Mm-hmm. And then I moved on to the Glenroe Road level crossing removal project. So I was doing the development phase of that. So all of that happened within about 2 years, and I've been
busy.
Yeah, it's good. You get to rotate around onto different projects, so you get to see what else is out there.
Yeah. Cool. And so, what advice would you give to students out there who are interested in a career in construction? Like, what advice do you wish you received when you were at high school in regards to it all?
Look, get some experience straight away. Even if you're not sure you want to go into construction, you do want to try something out, the best time to do that is at uni. But if you've got the slightest interest in construction, give it a go. It's really exciting. It's fast paced. It gives you an insight onto seeing how things are built and the issues that arise with construction management. And, we're going through a bit of a construction boom at the moment. So we're pretty fortunate to work on some of Australia's largest infrastructure projects that we're going to see.
Yeah, amazing. So cool. And by the sounds of things, you can, with a company like John Holland as well, you can work all around the place. Like you said, you're in Melbourne, you could be in Sydney or Echuca, or, the opportunities are sort of endless with where you can take it around Australia. So I hear you are also the co-chair of the Pride Network at John Holland. Can you tell us a bit more about what that network is and what it involves?
Yes, I am. So the Pride Network is an internal network at John Holland to promote LGBTI inclusion within the workplace and more broadly within the construction industry. So for those who don't know what LGBTI stands for, it's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and intersex. So the aim is to create a safe space for LGBTI employees and also to give allies a platform to voice their support. So the network has its own committee consisting of employees around the world, and we focus on creating a bit of visibility for the LGBTI community. We celebrate days such as Wear It Purple Day, the Sydney Mardi Gras, Melbourne's Midsummer, there's Ida Hobbit as well. And, we also participate in the Australian Workplace Equality Index, which is basically ensuring that our company's policies and our initiatives are in line with other organisations. So that's not just the construction industry alone, it's organisations across the board.
Yeah. So what inspired you to become the co-chair of that network? I guess the first thing that could come to some people's minds is that the construction industry, is quite blokey, and, I think a misconception may be that, it's not an inclusive sort of workplace to be in for, LGBTI plus people. What sort of inspired you, and what's your experience been so far in the construction industry with the acceptance of, LGBTI people?
Yeah, look, there were a few things that made me want to push LGBTI inclusion within the industry. And you're right, it does come across as very blokely and not very progressive, but I was very surprised to see, when I came out in the workplace. So like when I first started in the construction industry, I was already out about my sexuality to my family and friends.
Yeah.
But I noticed I put myself back in the closet when it came to my professional life. So that affected my productivity and, the relationships that I formed with other colleagues. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that did the same thing.
For sure.
A real sticking point for me was the marriage equality debate. So I was, I thought that whole process would be a breeze, but I remember the morning the results were about to be announced. I was extremely nervous. And, the yes vote came through and I was, extremely excited. But I noticed no one had really celebrated that in the office.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that they weren't supportive. It just, there was no platform for people to voice their support.
Yeah.
And, coming out in the workplace, it can be daunting. I already done it with my family and friends. So I guess, when I came out in the workplace, I had some experience up my sleeve.
Yeah.
But if you're still coming to terms with your sexuality or your gender, it can be extremely nerve-wracking. And, I wanted to provide a platform to make it easier for, the future generations or, for students that's still studying and for, labourers on site. We've got plenty of, we don't just stop at within our company. There's, subcontractors coming into our projects day in, day out. So we need to make sure that we create a safe space for them.
Absolutely.
And
a place where they can come to work and be themselves, and not be afraid of that. Yeah. That's awesome. It's really nice to know that, because a lot of students out there, it's still in high school, there's a lot going on right now. Like, you're young, you're still a teenager, coronavirus, everything, all the uncertainty that's going on. And, to come out to your friends and family can be a big enough thing as it is. And then, like you're saying, you went back in the closet when it came to work, and I'm sure a lot of students would feel the same as well. And it would be so nice to be able to jump into an organisation that already has this network in place,
exactly.
So that there's someone that they can go and speak to, like yourself, and just say, hey, this is, where I'm at. How's the best, way to approach it, I guess, coming out in the workplace? Because it's not as straightforward, I guess, is what people may think. You don't just walk in there and say, especially as a graduate or, your first job out of school or uni, it can be scary. You don't want to jeopardize anything. So, and for them to know that they're not and they're accepted and, there's a community of people there to support them, that must be a really rewarding thing to be part of.
Yeah, definitely. Like when I was a graduate and I was looking for graduate employment, it was something that I did look for. I looked for inclusive employers, but back then it kind of wasn't a thing. So.
It wasn't as much of a thing, where it's becoming so much, bigger now, which is awesome. And so co-chair, so you're right up there as well. So what achievements sort of in the Pride Network would you say you're most proud of so far?
There's been a few moments. I think our first Midsummer Pride March, so I had about 20 employees from John Holland that marched down Fitzroy Street in St Kilda with thousands of people cheering us on. It was a great way to show that we're visible. And we were one of the only construction companies marching, so that was exciting. Another achievement was John Holland was awarded the Most Improved Employer, along with the bronze status at the Australian Workplace Equality Index. So that's just showing how far we'd come within a year, because we had progressed that much, that's higher than any other organisation.
That's cool. That's awesome.
And there's days such as Wear It Purple Day, which has become really large at John Holland. Each year it gets bigger and bigger, and it's nice to see there's a bit of competition going on between projects to see who can do the best thing.
Cool.
It's great. And recently we also were involved with Sydney Mardi Gras, so the Sydney Football Stadium who'd done a complete get up on their hoarding and had messages of inclusion shown around. So
cool.
It's great. When you get to see these things, you look back and you realise why you get involved.
Yeah, totally. Oh, well, working for a construction company, I'm sure you could construct one of the biggest, best, is it floats that go down for the Sydney Mardi Gras? I can imagine, for years' time, John Holland will have this, you could be the site engineer for this amazing big John Holland float. It'll be so fun. That'll be so cool.
It'd be awesome one day.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Geoffrey. It was really cool to get a bit of an insight into John Holland and what a day looks like as a site engineer. Busy, and also really cool to hear about the Pride Network. I'm sure a lot of students out there will find that really interesting and definitely be looking more into John Holland because of it. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.